In this interview, I get to talk with Kerli, who is a remarkable artist from Estonia. You'll notice that before we started, she did my makeup. When was it that you started thinking about yourself as such an innovative, creative person? Is this something that when you were a little kid that you were always playing around with all of these things, or is this something that you've really cultivated over time?
Well, I think it was kind of always in me, you know, but I grew up, I was a kid in a Soviet country. So, you know, my country, it was the communism was all about everybody being the same, and like you didn't really have, you know, much of a wiggle room with who you were, because otherwise you got like killed or taken to Siberia. So the intelligence and the creative people were very suppressed for years. I talked to a musician recently, and he said that he wasn't able to release anything for 26 years. So you can imagine, you know, the mindset. But yeah, so it was kind of very, very, you know, strong in my culture that the boundaries were very strong, you know. But I always liked to, when I was little, I always liked to play really big, you know, and I didn't really understand why I couldn't draw on walls and things like that. So I think it's just what I've become is not something that I've cultivated, but something that I always was and just had to forget all the parts that weren't me.
So you use this house as your recording studio. You've got your equipment set up right over here. You obviously were born, you were a digital native. You started creating art at a time where anyone could do so with a laptop and a microphone. How do you feel about the world now as a place where anybody can create art?
I think it's amazing. I think it's a gift, and I'm very lucky to be alive at this time, because I think it gives the artist, you know, a freedom that musicians didn't have before. I mean, you know, because you needed that studio and you needed that label to get behind you and everything. So I think now it really all comes down to how hard you want to work. And, you know, do you talk a lot about the kind of the talent versus the work ethic when you teach creativity?
We absolutely do. In fact, we focus on knowledge, skills, and attitude. Attitude being a huge part of it. You need to be motivated, driven, and confident that you're going to be able to get what you want to get done. And that's a huge piece of the puzzle. So It seems to me that that's something that you really understand as well.
Yeah, I think like the discipline is like 80% of it.
So you are very, very involved with social media and share what you're doing with the world in lots of different ways. How does that fit into the way you think about your art, and what kind of tools do you like to use?
You know, social media, yeah, is strange. I don't like to actually look at it separately and I don't like to look at it separately from the music. I like to look at it like everything all together, you know. Social media is amazing. Like, I can post pictures. It's very important for me to talk to people online, like actually go and like spend a lot of time online just talking to kids. And it's very interesting. It's almost, lately I've been kind of making a social experiment with it a little bit too, posting different things, seeing what gets some kind of reaction, what gets which kind of people commenting. And I've noticed that, to me personally, I feel the most amazing when I post like inspiring things, you know, deeply like personal kind of stuff, and all the 300 people that are writing a comment are actually writing about their point of view, you know, so I learn a lot. So I like this. It's really like an amazing communication tool.
So let's talk about inspiration, because every song comes from somewhere. Is it something that comes from an idea in your head, a problem you want to solve or address? Does it come from an emotion? Does it come from something that just, you know, bubbles up and you don't even know? Where do the inspirations for your songs come from?
Well, it's different every time. Like, I like making conceptual art, so like that I sit down with the idea and I have the words that I want to use in the song and the colors and the shapes I want to paint. Maybe I have vision boards made, you know, of pictures to inspire. But a lot of times, honestly, like, I just sit down here in the morning and I don't know what's going to happen by the end of the night. You know, I'm just going to go until I stumble on something.
That's so interesting, because one of the things we also teach in our classes is about trial and error, trying lots of things and keeping what works, and being really willing to experiment and pushing beyond the first right answers. Is that something you do? I mean, tell us a little bit about your experimental process.
Yeah, very much actually. Like, I'm very... I did like different kinds of, you know, like as a songwriter, like the way that songwriters work. And that songwriter and artist, these are two different things. The way that songwriters work is that we get together in the room and we have sessions. you know. So we sit down, and hopefully by the evening, between the three people or the two people, we have something that everybody really likes, you know. But when I actually write for myself as an artist, when I write in here, like, I never write a song in one day. That's some kind of like a freak show of a magical moment where it just pours out like that. But I like to really like be very meticulous. Like, you know, when I record vocals, like I record vocals one word at a time, because I know exactly the tone a word needs to have, you know. So it takes me a few days, and I don't like to rush the process at all.
So you're also an amazing designer of sorts. I mean, you're very, very involved with designing, building, making your own shoes, your own clothes, obviously your own makeup designs. How does this fit in, and what sort of things are you experiencing as you share these wonderful tools and ideas with the world?
You know, I just feel like there's a lot of like limitations, you know, that people believe that are real, and it's just in people's heads. And I just really enjoy, I post a lot of these kind of DIY ideas online, and I just like to show people that it's not about, you know, how much money you have or whatever, you know. It's you can get something for $5 and make something absolutely incredible out of it. So it's just about you kind of expanding your mind to realize that life is your playground, and life really is a work of art, your most important, biggest work of art.
What the goal is here is to really bring people together, to really stretch their imagination, to gain confidence in their creativity and their entrepreneurial skills, and to do this through the lens of music. And I just can't thank you enough for your contributions. This has been so wonderful.
Thank you.
Totally
You too.
inspiring.
Thank you. Likewise.
Thank you.